Good afternoon, everyone. This is episode 47 of the Off Topical Podcast. My name is Gardner.
My name is Raven.
And Purism has announced the shipping schedule for the Librem 5, and some people are upset. We'll talk about it. Plus, your questions and a whole lot more today. All right, so the Librem 5 shipping dates were announced, and I know that you've got a couple of opinions on this, Raven. I'd love to hear them.
I do. One, I'm just honest to God glad that it's finally coming. Like,
yeah,
we're finally here. And they released like their full roadmap for like the next 2 years or so, something like that. Next year, like,
yeah,
quite a lot of changes.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah, so batch Aspen is individually milled cases. I don't know if they're going to be metal or plastic. I have no idea. You know, they could be plastic. I don't really care if they're metal or plastic, honestly.
My thought on that is that I've heard of like wood being milled. I've heard of metal being milled, but for a mass production thing, I've never heard of plastic being milled.
Yeah, but you know,
it's total speculation on my part.
Yeah, you know, loose fit, varying alignment, unfinished switch caps. I don't like that at all. I seriously doubt it's wood though. Unfortunately, wood would be interesting for a phone.
Wood would be very interesting. That's a way to get LGR involved.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the birch batch because it's gonna be probably a much tighter fit, which means much better waterproofing.
Yeah.
Because occasionally, like, I do enjoy taking my Galaxy into the shower and just turning on music, and I don't have to worry about the steam messing with it or anything because it's fairly, waterproof. Actually, in fairness to Samsung, they're I think starting with like the S5 or S6, their phones are pretty damn waterproof.
I've never even considered taking a phone into the shower with me.
Yeah, dude. I just listen to music.
Huh.
I don't have anything else to listen to music with because I don't even own a radio anymore.
Dang. You know what was funny is this guy I used to play D&D with, he actually renovated his bathroom, and the shower, the light that he replaced in his bathroom actually had a Bluetooth speaker in it, and he could control it with his voice. It was actually very interesting.
See, when I get a house, I want to modify the bathroom, at least the master bathroom, so I can have like speakers and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Not Bluetooth, because that's just an accident waiting to happen, you know?
Yeah, Bluetooth I don't like.
You know?
Like, you get Bluetooth, like a Bluetooth speaker in your ceiling, and 3 or 4 years later, it's going to be outdated. And it's like...
Not just that. You know, one day, you know, you might have kids, and, you know, they might accidentally stream porn or some shit from their phone throughout the whole house. And you're just like... just walk over, you just pick up their phone, and you just turn it off, and then you just chuck it out the window, and it's like, That's what you get. That's what you get.
Ay.
But it's so easy for, you know, especially like if you have an iPhone, man. And it's a little off topic, but if you have like an iPhone, those things are really like, oh, there's a new Bluetooth device that you've connected to. Let me connect to it now. But no, I don't. And then too late, it's done it.
Yeah, that's how my car is. Like, I have the Google Pixel XL, and I have like a aftermarket Android head unit in my car, and the thing about that is that it's like freaking when I go to get in my car, I'll have my Bluetooth headphones connected, you know, like plugged in, you know, or you know what I'm saying, like in my ear, and I'll go into my car, and my car will just override the headphones. And it's like, It's like, that's distracted driving waiting to happen right there. No.
Yeah, it just takes over immediately. But as far as the Purism thing, I think I'm gonna wait. I know I'll probably be like, because I reserved it like way late.
Oh, you did.
So I'm probably way closer in the batch. So I'm probably like the shipping window for me is probably like November 26th, even possibly December 3rd. I wouldn't think so. Um, but it's hard to say. Like I
Yeah.
really don't know.
So,
Um,
so for people who haven't heard about this, the Librem 5, the way it's working is they're shipping in batches, in basically production runs, and the first production run is called Batch Aspen, and that's going to start shipping on September 24th, and it's going to go through October 22nd, and essentially, what it boils down to is that each of these production runs are going to have an iterative what would you call it, an iterative release. So you're going to have like in the first version, the switch caps are not going to be the final version. Actually, in most of the versions, you're not going to have like the final mass produced production, like mold injected cases. Instead, you're going to have individually milled cases, and then they're also tying in their software like milestones with the actual hardware batches. So I think that this is a really cool idea. I wasn't expecting them to roll things out like this. I was expecting, their quarter three target for shipping the phone to be mass produced final version. But it takes them it takes a long time to actually develop hardware and software. And from talking with Brian over at Purism and Todd, the CEO, I am quite confident that they're going to deliver and that they're making the right decision for the product that they're trying to realize. So, but yeah, like Batch Aspen is the first version is shipping in September 27th or 24th. I'm sorry, and then you have Batch Birch, which is going to have a more a tighter fit and improved alignment for the case. And then you're going to have Batch Birch, which has finished switch caps, and so on until you get to Evergreen, which is going to launch in quarter two of 2020, and that's the final mold injected case. They're also announcing they have plans for the next iteration of the hardware, which is a 14 nanometer next generation CPU and a new version of the case design, which is launching in quarter four of 2020. So I think that this is an interesting way of doing it. The fact that they're being open and transparent about the design, like the production run model that they're going with, is in spirit with the open source community. And I made a video about this where I talked about. I actually got information from Brian and from Todd, and I'm very proud of that video. So you can check that out. But Raven, what do you think about why do you think that they went with the production run model versus the full launch?
Probably because it's been delayed so much.
Yeah.
They need to get it out there. I mean, ideally, they probably would want everyone on Batch Evergreen. That seems to be the final version of the Gen 1 phone. And it kind of sucks that the Gen 2 phone is essentially going to come out the same year. So it's almost like, can I just wait till the Gen 2 phone comes out? Because it's only another year.
Mm.
And it's tempting. Like, even for me, it's tempting to just wait till Batch Fur.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as much as I want a Purism phone, it's like there's nothing technically wrong with my phone other than it's a piece of junk and it spies on me. But it's like, yeah. So, but at the same time, I think Batch Fur is probably closer to what they truly wanted the Librem 5 to be, but they couldn't get the hardware, and it's all finally said and done. And they need to get done with it already and, moving on.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And so I think Batch Fur is really the true, and it's just speculation, of course, but I definitely think Batch Evergreen is probably much closer, but I think Batch Fur is what they truly wanted. It includes a slightly more upgraded SoC, which means probably a slightly newer GPU. It might still have the G7000, but it's probably not the light version, which is what in the normal one. And, a newer CPU. I'm really hoping, though, that, Batch Fur will stay the same for, at least 3 or 4 years, and they won't have a new one. because of market fragmentation. Like if there's a new one every year, that's just gonna piss me off. I was like, I'll just go back to Samsung, because that's my like the privacy and stuff is like really nice, but market fragmentation is one of the worst parts about Android. And anyone who's ever done development in the Android ecosystem knows that it is a nightmare. And
What do you mean by fragmentation exactly?
well, hardware fragmentation. So like, yeah, everything runs the same operating system, but not all phones function the same. Now, the case of Purism, I would say hardware fragmentation would probably be closer to iOS in that, the hardware is controlled by a singular company
Yeah.
and therefore has some similarities and they have some control. But like, I'm sure you've used a wide variety of Android phones and have gotten like vastly different quality from every single one of them. Like,
Oh yeah.
none of them are made the same unless it's like a Samsung S line. Because even like Samsung phones or LG phones of different caliber, like, different lines, all function differently. Like, they'll have different touch sensitivity on the screens. They'll have different hardware, which means game and applications will work completely differently on them. They have different screen resolutions, which you have to account for. Like, it's a pain in the ass is what it is for developers. So it's not that it's not doable, because it is absolutely doable. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing it at all. But it's just, I would like them to roll, because there's nothing really wrong with the phones, right?
Right.
Like, you can replace the broadband. Like, you can upgrade it to 5G, I believe, through like a hardware switch, which I believe they have done. I can't remember. It might not be able to upgrade to 5G, but
Well,
that's fine because
the
5G 's not
baseband,
anywhere near.
the modem itself is on a M.2 card, and so you can, if you can find a compatible M.2 card with a 5G modem on it, then you can swap that out.
Right. So they could even offer that. So like, there's really no reason for them to swap out hardware, because it's not like they're trying to make a gaming phone, right?
Right.
There's no need to be at the top of, the next gen list, like, Asus phones or Samsung or, anything like that.
Right.
So, I'm hoping that Batch Fur at least has 2 or 3 years where there's no new phone. I just want software improvements, and I just want, that's pretty much it. I just want software improvements. Because building the ecosystem, if there's a new phone every couple months or every year, is going to be impossible. Because no one's going to want to build apps if there's new phones all the time, new hardware for the phones. Because that's a
Mm-hmm.
big thing. Like, even if they stick with the same, SOC, I forget, IMX or I.MXM, whichever it is, I forget which one it is.
Yeah, I.MXM8 is what they're using right now.
Right, even if they stick with that family, things still change. Newer versions of ARM chips, have a lot of changes. Even
Yeah.
if it's just subtle changes, it still has a lot of changes, which means you have to account for it on the OS level. And, it's like, yeah, it's better probably for developers to an extent, but then you create like market fragmentation, particularly games. And, I know I keep bringing back games, and it's like, well, it's Librem 5 and it's more for security than games, but games will be a contributing factor to people switching to it.
Yeah.
Like, and they're the most computationally expensive thing that will be on there. So, I would just like to see some level of, like, let's just wait a few years. Like, I totally get it, like, for like Batch Fur, because Batch Evergreen has been in development for a while. So it's kind of like Batch Fur is like the next generation, and but I just want to see like that version stay for a while. Like, honestly, I'm fine if they don't even release Batch Fur until like 2023, because that'll be a 3-year gap between the Librem 5 and the next version of the Librem 5, which might be the Librem 6. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that name change or just keep it the same name with like different hardware. I have no idea.
I'm
Sure they'll
pretty
come up with
sure
some way to
Librem
do it.
5 is going to be the name of the platform.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's just my take on it. Like, market fragmentation is the worst idea ever. It's why Apple actually does wait like 2 years or so before they drop their next phone, especially these days.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I think that there's a better comparison here between Purism and Apple rather than Purism and Android as a platform. Like, the Librem 5 is going to be more like the iPhone than it is going to be like the
yeah,
Android
I
platform.
mean, theoretically, anyone could grab the operating system and dump it on any system they want, along with
Yeah.
the Pure OS store. But I don't see it taking off in the same vein as say Android did.
Right. I mean, I could see like, if the specs are high enough for the Pine phone, or for what's the other one that people are talking about still? I can't
I
remember
don't
the other
know.
one.
I just know the Pine phone.
There's another one that, like, I can't remember the name of it, but I could see you being able to drop Pure OS on the Pine phone and being able to use it like that,
Yeah,
which is
be
cool.
interesting to see if people put it on like the Raspberry Pi or something, because that would be weird and
That
interesting.
would be weird. I wonder if someone would make like a hat for the Pi that gives you a modem access.
Nice. They
That
probably would.
that'd be cool. Before like maybe 2 months before the Librem 5 project, like not Kickstarter but crowdfunding campaign went live, I was thinking about how I could build like a Raspberry Pi based phone.
I think Lunduk was as well. Like he was looking for a new kind of phone.
That's right, he
I
was,
remember
because
that.
I was talking to him about this and we were like coming up with like a scheme on how we could do it. Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad that this is coming out, because I don't have the technical skills to actually be able to
I
achieve
mean,
that.
could you imagine like a thermal throttled Pi running at like 1 or 2 watts? Just a simple
Yeah,
heat sink inside of a fat phone case, because it would be a really fat phone case.
that would be
Um,
hilarious. I would just
oh,
desolder like all the stuff, so you just have a flat board. I wouldn't even have the
pins.
what would you call it? The GPIO pins. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and someone commented the other day left from last week's podcast about the phone that I hope the phone's like 5 centimeters thick. And they're like, I hope he's joking about that. I'm actually not joking about that.
Mm,
I would actually like a thick phone,
yeah, me
if
too.
only for a bigger battery or two sets of bigger batteries inside of it, plus more thermal displacement. Because I believe my Samsung's about a centimeter or two thick. So 5 centimeters would actually be really thick, in fairness, and I'm aware of that. I
Mm,
know how big 5 centimeters is. However, this phone gets hot as shit. Like it
yeah.
burns my fingertips if I try to use it when it's charging.
Oh, yikes.
And if I'm doing something with it and it's charging, holy crap.
What
Like
version of it is the phone?
mine, I believe it's an S9. Yeah, it's an S9.
Hmm. Dang.
It gets hot, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, it charges in like 30 minutes from like practically dead. So, I mean, it's sucking in a lot of juice really rapidly.
Right.
But it gets hot.
Yeah.
And it's all thin and light. And I'm just like, you know what? Give me a nice fat phone that doesn't burn my damn fingertip.
Right. The do they have the actual dimensions of the product?
The Librem?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the product store page.
Yeah.
I believe it was anyway.
Wow, wow, wow. Um,
Oh, good. I'm getting emails.
no,
Sorry about that.
I don't
Muted.
see. What are you doing? There we go.
No, they don't. It's not on there. Oh, well. Whatever.
No, interesting. But I suspect it's gonna be under an inch thick, but it'll be. I mean, it won't be as thin as, like, my current Android phone. Like, it's gonna be thicker than that, because it's a modular thing, and so you have a board with an IMX, not an IMX, an M.2 slot, and you're gonna have to accommodate. I think there's actually two M.2 slots on this board, so you're gonna have to accommodate that plus a thick battery. I think it's a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty large, and you're also going to be accommodating the screen and whatever other components need to go in there. So I think that this is going to be a thick phone comparative to modern day smartphones, but honestly, I don't think it's that. I don't think that that's bad at all, because I think that phones currently, we're fetishizing how thin we can get our phones, when it sacrifices battery life, it sacrifices thermal, what's the word that you
Displacement.
use? Thermal dissipation, and
I said displacement, but yes.
yeah,
Same thing.
and it also just it like one of the reasons that one of the galaxies was like catching on fire was because it was so thin that like there was too much flex in the phone, and you could actually end up flexing it so much that the battery would puncture. It's like, why are we doing that? Like, I want a robust phone. Oh, we also sacrifice fragility. Our phones are getting thinner and thinner, and the reason that iPhones break constantly, like the screen breaks, is because they're using like the latest version of Gorilla Glass so that they can get a thinner phone, but they're pushing these materials to their absolute breaking point, literally. And so the thicker the phone
they're
is,
really thin aluminum on the iPhones. Really thin aluminum.
yeah. And so the thicker
Almost
these
as
things
they
are,
switch to steel.
right? Well, yeah. So basically, the thicker the phone is, I think the more robust they're actually going to be able to make it. The easier it is for the phone to actually withstand damage. And I am,
Plus a lot of plastic. There's actually a lot of plastic in a lot of modern phones. Like even the iPhone has a lot of plastic in it.
yeah, definitely.
It has like a metal frame with like a metal covering, and then a lot of plastic on the inside. And that plastic warps with those high temperature heats. The metals might not, but you know, I mean, you can actually remember. I think it was like the iPhone 7. Maybe it's the 6. I don't remember which one it was. Remember people like got it, and then like a day or two later, it had bent in their pocket. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah.
And Apple had to fix all that and replace it.
What was that called? They called it like FlexGate or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. It's stupid though. But it's like yeah, it bends because it's really thin, and that means the metal is really thin. I mean, especially because it's aluminum. Yeah, you can make really strong aluminum, but they're not using that type of aluminum. It's kind of like a Coke can, so to speak. Like it's really thin, and yeah, it's pretty strong for what it is, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's so thin. Like we're talking like millimeters of thickness here.
Right.
So it's like it doesn't break, but it bends, it warps. They've since made it slightly thicker. And yeah, I don't think it's gone well for them.
Yeah.
What is this?
Did you see those photos?
Oh yeah, I did. I think it looks pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
like it. It's actually thick. I definitely enjoy the thickness of it.
Yeah. So you see there's two M.2 slots there.
I do.
So which of these slots, like what is the second one for? Is it storage?
Could be for storage. That'd be pretty sweet because that's a hell of a lot better than an SD card.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I
more
mean, I think
expensive,
that there
but
is an SD card expansion too, isn't there?
yes.
So like being able to have an M.2 module for storage that you can expand yourself, and having an SD card expansion available, that is just, dude, this is the PC of frickin' phones, man.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll get to a point where they can be like Samsung's DeX though, because that's actually really impressive if you've seen the demos of that.
Well, it has
Especially here
video
recently.
out.
Oh, I know. But I mean, like Samsung DeX is actually really stable and robust. I don't know how well Pure OS actually works, because again,
Yeah.
never used it, and you need some kind of storage too, because it only has 32 gigabyte EMCC or eMMC. Yeah, eMMC internal storage. Whereas, I mean, hell, you can get newer Samsungs with 1 terabyte of eMMC on it. Like, it's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll cost you like $1,600, but I mean,
Well, if one of these M.2 modules is actually what they're using for storage, then it's expandable, and so it comes with the 32, and you can update it, later on to whatever you want.
Absolutely, that would be really nice. Even if, I like I said, I don't really know how it works, but we'll find out once we get the phone. I also like the fact that their battery's 3,500 mAh.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because like you'd be amazed at like how many like flagship phones on Android have like 2000 or 1600 mAh batteries. Like, it's weird. Like, $600 and that's all the battery you give me? And it's because that's the only battery they could get that would fit.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking
you know,
up
like,
the Note 9 specifications for the battery right now.
the Note 9 has like a 4000 battery, but yeah.
But that's the fact that this phone has a comparable battery. It's like close. It's closer to the
Yes,
Note 9.
and the hardware is way different. If they get power management under control, as well as, like, you know, keeping the CPU from, you know, running at 100% all the time, and the GPU, the Librem should have a really good battery life.
Yeah,
For a smartphone anyway.
I anticipate not having to charge this for like 3 or 4 days at a time. That's my hope when they get power management finalized. Because
Yeah.
didn't they just get like power management merged into the kernel?
Yes, they did.
It,
They sure did, which is really nice and handy.
This dude, I'm so freaking excited for this thing. And there are some people who are just like, dude, why are you excited about this? Like, I've had people ask me, like, why are you so excited about this? This is a phone that, you know, Ubuntu tried to make like years ago. This is a phone that, like, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, they only are doing calls and SMS right now, and they don't even have a graphical Pure OS store. And it's like, don't you understand? It's like, this is all free software. The fact that you can place calls with entirely free software. The fact that you can send SMS entirely with free software. The fact that I can fully remove the baseband from my phone. I can replace the M.2 cards with whatever I want.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
This is like so much better than anything that's being offered by any other phone vendor.
Yep.
Like, that's why I'm excited about this. It's because this is a phone for me. This will be my phone that I completely and entirely own. And the software updates are going to continue to roll out. The fact that, like, people are mad that, quarter four of 2020, they're going to have the new version. And it's like, that shows that they have a commitment to this platform and that they're going to continue to develop the software and build this ecosystem. Like, that's why I'm so stoked about this.
Yeah, I just hope there's not any after that, though, for a while, like I said earlier. You know, I think it's great that, you know, they'll be continuing, you know, the product line, but at the same time, hardware fragmentation is a real thing and should be avoided if possible.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's what's happened to some of these phones in the past when people have tried to make them, you know? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, and then a year later we'll have this, and then we'll have this, and then people lose interest because it's like hardware fragmentation is a real problem. It's like, being on the latest and greatest is great, but Purism is never going to be on the latest and greatest, so it should just be what it is and not worry about having to switch. Plus, it's really nice, you know, when you go 3 or 4 years and they roll out a new one, and that big power gap difference is, like, really noticeable, and you, like, really feel it.
Yeah. The problem with that I have, though, is that, like, you're gonna end up with I feel like that would be more of a fragmentation issue. If it's like version 2, it has, you know, 3-year-old hardware, and version 3 has the latest and greatest, and if you want to support all these different versions, you're gonna have to, like, design your app in a way that can be run on this really
sure,
simple...
but technically the hardware they're already using is from like 2015, 2016, something like that. So, like, it won't be like that drastic.
But,
like, it won't be like 2019 hardware versus, like, say 2022 hardware.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you have, like, the 2015 hardware that you're talking about, and then you have 2022 hardware, or even 2015 versus 2019 hardware, you know what I'm saying? Like, the jump in capability.
Oh yeah, it can definitely be a problem, but the problem becomes when you have like 5 or 6 different configurations. That's annoying. Like, that's really annoying.
But I feel like that would also encourage
really
developers to build their app in a way that...
Oh yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal for games.
Yeah.
You know, And if there's a large enough gap, then the phone gets really cheap. Because it's been out for so long, the hardware gets cheaper, their production gets cheaper. So you could see the Purism or the Librem 5 at like $200-$300, if not cheaper.
Mm.
So people aren't as miffed when they're like, oh, they buy it, and then next year it's like, oh, there's a new one, and it's like, fuck this shit. Like, this is not any different than buying an Apple or an Android at this point. And that should be the real thing. Now, I know they're actually going to support it, so it's not like it's going to become obsolete or anything, which is nice, and a drastic difference from, say, I don't know, Android
Freaking
and iPhone.
Samsung. You know,
Yeah.
iPhones are actually far more supported for much longer than Android phones are.
It depends. Samsung does actually support their phones for quite a long time. But it varies wildly between companies.
Well, like the Google Pixel is supported for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's really that's really bad. They're still iPhones are still being supported up back to like version 6, aren't they?
Yeah, if you want to call that supported. As soon as Apple makes its new version, they immediately gimp the old version though.
Oh, I know.
They immediately gimp it. So supported is a loose term in the Apple ecosystem.
Support meaning comparatively. I think that
as soon as the new version comes out, all it gets is maintenance support, which means it rarely gets updates unless
you also
roll up to the
you can also download the latest apps from the App Store. Even if you're on version
until they artificially kill it or the update destroys your battery life because Apple's like, well, it's just not designed for that hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's depleting my battery like 5 times faster. What the hell? Like, that is clearly artificially on purpose. That is clearly an artificial change.
Well, I'm not defending like that kind of stuff. But
God, I hate Apple for that. Yeah, they might support it, but my point was more like, whatever. On the other hand, on the Android side, like, after your phone's been out that long, it's usually pretty easy to find like a third-party version of Android you can just install and keep your phone rolling till your battery dies. Because that's the big crux.
You can do that?
No, on Android phones. On Android phones. iPhones? Oh, God, good luck. I'm sure if you can unlock the bootloader, in theory it would be possible, but because it's like a custom ARM chip, getting the firmware in that black box, good luck. If you can somehow pull that off, fantastic.
Yeah.
GG. Yeah. Whereas, like, with Android, at least there are options. But the problem with Androids is they don't offer replaceable batteries anymore.
Right.
Samsung was one of the last ones to offer replaceable batteries, and they're killing that in the future.
Yeah.
And they only really offered that in South Korea, so...
Just for fun facts here, the Google Pixel 3 has a 2900 milliamp hour battery. What else? What are the other like big Android phones? I don't really follow them that much.
Well, you got the Samsung S line. You have the Note line. Honestly, Samsung's kind of the king of the Android space. Honestly, like they sell like 50 million copies of their phone like every time. So it's kind of hard to like top them. Like they're clearly number one. I know like HTC and some of those crappy Chinese phones have gotten popular, but
Why do they have so many different versions? The Samsung Galaxy A50, M30s.
Yeah, the Samsung makes more than just the S line. That's why I said they're like the king, because they have so many different lines. Like their S line will sell like 50 million, and Lord knows how many their other lines sell. That's why they're such a huge chunk of the market. Would not surprise me if they're like 15% of all Android phones. Like It's absolutely insane. And that's a lot of phones. That's over 100 million phones. Like, Jesus Christ, Samsung.
Yeah, I had a Galaxy, like the original Galaxy S phone, and I didn't like it. And I had the Galaxy S2.
Well, early Android phones were bad. Like, it's not even like Samsung's fault. Like, I have an S3. It was my first personal smartphone. Because, I've been making Android apps for a long time, so I actually have quite a collection.
Oh, nice.
And it was the first one I used. Yeah, I had a flip phone until like 2013, man.
That's cool.
Yeah. I just had a flip phone, which everyone thought was funny because considering what I did for a living, or do, rather. They're like, why do you still have a flip phone? I'm like, because I don't like these things. So I never really got to experience what they were like making phone calls and stuff. Yeah. And then I got an S3, and I was like, oh, God, it was so bad. Like, the S3 was terrible, but it was better than everything else at the time.
Yeah. Well,
And the S3 wasn't even new when I got it in 2013. It was like a year or two old at that point.
right.
Like,
I've
and
never
then,
had like a brand new Android phone.
well, I have, because I learned my damn lesson with that S3. So I just started buying unlocked versions of the phone and just using that.
See, I've
Because
never had
again,
enough money to do that. So the
Yeah.
Librem 5 is going to be the first phone that I paid full price for that is, new when I get it.
Yeah, well, congrats, man. Because yeah, like I said, man, like like I learned my lesson. Like you stay at the flagship, or you go super cheap. You don't go in the middle.
Yeah.
Because if you go cheap enough, then you don't care if it has a few quirks here and there, and if you go expensive enough, it doesn't have the quirks. So, in the middle is the worst spot to be, in my opinion. Now,
Yeah.
in fairness, though, it has gotten a lot better. It's not like the early days of like 2010, 2011, 2012, all that. Like,
Right.
Android has become quite a robust platform, so pretty much any phone you get now pretty much works for the most part. And that has to do with like hardware getting cheaper, because the smartphones are so extensive. They're everywhere now, obviously. And, so and the operating system has gotten a lot better over the years. Despite hatred for Android, it actually has gotten a lot better. Now, interface-wise, I'm not going to say if it's gotten better, but performance-wise, it's gotten better. So, there's
mean-
that whole thing of software quality just improving, sort of.
Aesthetics wise, I think
It looks like shit.
I think
Yes,
it looks
know.
better than it ever has.
It's gross. Don't
I
bother.
prefer
That's gross. Yes, of course.
Android
of course
to
you would.
iOS.
Yes, the Manual X Iwata thinks that the new Android Pie looks great, or whatever it is.
I don't know if
Or
I've used
10,
Pie.
whatever.
Yeah.
10 Android
All I'm
10.
saying, I
Yes,
like
for sure.
the material design better than I like iPhone's design.
I don't think Apple's really changed its iOS design. It looks basically the same as it always has,
Yeah.
except for some subtle differences.
But I like
Which, admittedly, you could argue is a good thing because people really understand and know it. But on the other hand, it looks like shit.
yeah.
Whatever, I guess. I mean, the iOS is very rigid, so whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's a simple design and it works. So I mean, whatever. Android's always changing shit, which is really annoying about Android. That's why I haven't updated my phone. My phone wants to update to whatever the latest version it can do, which is probably the latest version of Android, which is probably not 10, but it's probably like, I don't know, Pi or whatever. I don't know. Hell, I might already be on Pi. It's probably just a newer version, but I refuse because every time I do it, the interface changes slightly, and I hate it. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. But I should update because bug fixes and security fixes, but I'm tired of my damn phone changing. Like, even Lineage and, all those other ones, like, when they update to the latest version of Android, you're going to get the new changes, so...
Yeah.
You know.
You know what I just noticed?
No, I don't. What did you just notice?
So I'm on shop.purism, puri.sm on the Librem 5 page. And if you scroll down to just under where it says add to cart, it now says SKU L5V1.
Nice. So they finally made a SKU for it. Well, that's good.
That's pretty interesting because you would assume Librem 5 version 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool.
I wish they had a doc. And on to that, would you like to move on to the viewer questions? Because I think we've kind of collapsed all we can do with the Librem 5. I mean, it has kind of been like 40 minutes of this, so...
Holy moly, it has been 40 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we're going to move on to listener questions now. There was a bunch of news, but, with like all the crap that's been going on in both of our lives, we didn't have time to do show notes. And so we're going to move on to listener questions. Hooray!
We might skip some of these because some of these are kind of duplicates, or we'll answer them really quick. There's actually a fair bit, so...
Yeah, I'm probably going to edit some of these out if we answer them and it's just we don't have much of an answer, Fair
enough.
So let's do the Android user here. Do you think if Purism makes a dock for the Librem 5 convergence thing, would it be possible for them to add extra RAM, storage, and a better GPU, etc., so it could run graphic intensive games and do much more PC tasks?
I don't know if they could add extra hardware support. I know they could add like storage and battery, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they could. I guess you could technically run another GPU and CPU and add RAM because, USB-C is very similar to Thunderbolt. So,
I don't know about adding RAM.
I mean, yeah, it should be doable. Yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
think
I
that the
don't.
RAM is soldered, like is like built
Yeah,
into
but
the.
you could still access additional RAM. It's just it would be going through the USB line and would have all the issues that would be with that. It's no deal different than accessing an external GPU because that would also have RAM. But yeah, I don't know if it would like be the best idea. It would
Yeah.
certainly help to have additional RAM, even if it was slightly slower. But you know,
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
biggest thing with the dock would be like battery charger with like a bunch of USB ports. Like that would probably be the first thing. Like, is it doable? Yes. Would it be practical? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I mean,
I,
if I don't know if this USB Type C is going to be Thunderbolt compatible. That's the thing,
well,
because
I mean, what I'm saying is USB-C is very similar to Thunderbolt, so yes, it can do it, or at least it should be able to do it.
right.
Um,
But that would be if USB Type C was if it had like version 4 of USB, right? Because
well,
version 4 is
even the older
Thunderbolt.
versions, even older versions are very similar to Thunderbolt. Even older versions of USB-C are quite similar. They
Really?
should be able to support. The issue is having enough bandwidth to actually pipe all that information back and forth. Which is why I said more than likely it would just be a battery slash storage with a bunch of ports.
Interesting.
Because that would make more sense, because like you plug your phone into it, and then you can charge your phone, you can hook it up to the a power outlet. You have a bunch of USB ports to hook up keyboards and stuff like that. Maybe you also have like onboard storage, like you can access like a SATA drive, like a maybe you just like pop it in,
Yeah.
for like an external storage, because like honestly, if you're docking it, then you're probably going to be in desktop mode. So having like an extra hard drive would be totally fine, stuff like that. But as far as like extra RAM and all that other stuff, that might prove to be not necessarily problematic, but there might just not be enough bandwidth there. And yeah, I mean, I guess like I said, it just depends on what you choose to do. I'm not like from a design standpoint, it should be completely doable. But again, whether it's practical or not, that's a totally different story.
Yeah. I think that I think that convergence is going to be a thing with the Librem 5. At least that's my
Oh yeah.
hope. They have, if you look at their website, they actually have monitor kits that you can order. It comes with a Librem 5, and you can get a 30-inch or a 24-inch monitor and a keyboard and mouse. The keyboard and mouse look like they're wireless, so probably Bluetooth, and then the monitor has a USB. It comes with a USB Type C cable that you can plug in. If you have a USB Type C to HDMI adapter, you're probably gonna be able to do this.
Yeah, I would say a dock would be probably one of the first things as an accessory they should probably focus on
Yeah,
because a dock would be really nice,
I've been thinking
like a
about
proper dock.
right. Well, I've been thinking about like because I have a USB Type C adapter that has USB Type A ports on it, as well as another Type C port for charging and a HDMI port on it. So I was thinking about how I could use that to like 3D print myself a dock for the Librem 5. Integrate that USB hub into the dock. I think that would be pretty cool.
I agree. I was just mulling that over for a second there.
The next question we have is from Michael Valentino. Michael asks, how do you foresee Linux gaming evolving on ARM-based systems? It may seem obvious, but maybe it's not.
Until someone makes like a desktop class quality chip, which right now the only person making that is NVIDIA, and they have no real interest in the local market. of like desktops. They're interested in like cars and stuff and AI. Until that happens, I don't see it happening because like the Raspberry is just too slow. I mean, I know it's fast if you compare it to like systems of the ye olden days, but it's 2019 and people don't want to make Quake.
Right.
People might want to play Quake, but they want to make Quake. It's different.
So ARM.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm assuming that when you say Linux gaming, you're talking about desktop Linux gaming, and I really don't see that happening ever. I think Risk V gaming is going to happen before ARM gaming for desktops.
Yeah, if they ever get a GPU, it totally could happen.
For Risk V.
Yeah.
Well, you can get Risk V. I mean, you can get like a Risk V chipset with.
Well,
PCIe.
yeah, I know that. I know you can like hook up like almost any PCI Express graphics card as well. They have boards with PCI Express slots, but I mean that you're right. That's probably more likely, maybe. The issue is the amount of horsepower, and people are just not making stuff like that. Like the closest you really have is like some of the Pine stuff, and of course you have NVIDIA. Which you can get. I mean, you can get the non-OEM boards sometimes, and they are cheaper, but they're still like $500, and not a lot of people have that. Not necessarily the money, but like they just don't have any interest in buying the board. Yeah. And then, the biggest one you have is the Raspberry, but the Raspberry is so slow. Even the new one, even overclocked with heat sinks and stuff to keep it cool. I mean, it's a lot faster than the 3, for sure, but, it's like no one's making games for it though. That's the thing.
Mm.
Like it's not just the fact that hardware is limited. No one's doing it. Therefore, no one's making the hardware for it. It's the whole catch-22 problem that Linux has right now with gaming and has had since like the past 7 years since Linux gaming became really a thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's got the catch-22 problem. No one's making games, and therefore no one's making the operating system or the hardware for it. So it's like a death cycle. Like someone has to do one of those two things.
Well, that's why Proton exists.
Yeah, exactly. Because people just aren't porting. Even though Linux is a perfectly viable platform, people are just not porting because, insert reasons. Most of them are just financial. Like there's just no money. And the reason there's no money is because there's no games for Linux people, for enough people to move over to Linux. And it's just like one of those two things had to break, and Proton is hopefully the thing that will help break that barrier down.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
definitely.
anyway.
I think it is. I think we're making huge progress with Proton.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wesley Chalmers says, "Can you play Fortnite with me sometime?" No.
No.
I don't play online games.
It's true. He doesn't even play games. Ignore his name. He doesn't play games.
Raven, you've asked me so many times to play World of Warcraft with you, and I'm like, no. Why would I do that?
I have asked you to play World of Warcraft with us. Okay? We are a community of Linux people who are playing World of Warcraft, and you should join us.
First of all, I don't play Western RPGs, and I especially don't play MMOs.
Look, you would probably have a lot of fun playing with us. We are having lots of fun, and I guarantee you would have lots of fun. You should just try it for a month and just see if you like it, man. Join us. I'm gonna keep nagging you about it.
I know. And
I mean, for two reasons.
Politely declining.
One, because I can, and two, because it's kind of funny at this point. So it's like, why would I stop? That, and you should just play with us because it's fun, man. You get to chill out with us and chat and yell at people. I mean, it's great. That's what I do.
Nice.
It's fine. I don't know about the yelling part, but I'm sure it can happen.
Why don't you play Minecraft with me?
I do play Minecraft with you.
You should do it more often, man.
Yeah, well,
but you're playing World of Warcraft instead with all your freaking internet friends.
Internet friends? Half of them came from your server. They're your damn Patreon subscribers.
Oh, that's funny.
It is funny. Yeah. You should come play with us, you little shit.
Oh, man.
I'm having a lot of fun. Actually, in fairness, World of Warcraft Classic is so different than Modern WoW that it's remarkable because I haven't really played it on official servers in a while. and it's incredible. People talking, like actually talking, is mind blowing. Like, dude, even game reviewers are like, "This is actually a lot of fun." It's like, yeah, because it's the whole point of an MMO is to play with other people. Like, modern MMOs are just about the single player experience, and that's just weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird because like most people are playing like the free to play MMOs, right? So it's like whatever, right? Like who cares? But it's really weird when you see people paying like $15 a month for World of Warcraft and then they play it by themselves. That's just weird.
That is super weird.
Like, what is the point? Like, like you play it by yourself. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I don't know. It's just weird. AMR Soul. I don't even know how you say that. I think it's just a collection of letters put together.
Yeah.
Where to find FOSS version of Minecraft, please? I've always wanted to slash cows ethically. There really is no open source version of Minecraft. I mean, there's Minetest, but that's not the same game.
Right.
Ben Clark 06, do you see a future for Linux on the phone, excluding Android? I'm using Sailfish right now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah, if the Librem 5 takes off.
Yeah, I see the Librem 5 being like the future of Linux on the phone. I honestly think it will take off. I think that, when we get to like version 3 of the hardware and they've like really ironed out all the kinks and like made PureOS into the robust operating system that it needs to be to compete, I think you'll start seeing wide adoption of the Librem 5 platform. Because I'm an optimist.
True that. Alan Pope. Hey, look, it's Alan Pope.
It's Alan Pope. Hi, Alan Pope.
Love that dude. He says, what would it take for you to go 100% RMS, full bore freedom, no Steam, no to video on local computers for a significant period, say a month?
What would it take for me to go 100% RMS, full bore freedom, no Steam, no NVIDIA on local computers for a significant period? I mean, not a whole lot. I'm pretty close to that. The only thing that I'm using that's proprietary now is Steam.
Yeah.
I have a Vega 64. I'm using the open source drivers. I mean, I can't think of... The only thing that is like close to proprietary that I use is VS Code, but I'm using the open source fork of VS Code. So
that mostly just removes all the telemetry stuff. It doesn't actually really... It's not really any real big difference with that one. So
right. So it's like I can't think of anything that I'm using that's proprietary right now.
Now, I play games, and I do rock NVIDIA GPUs because they're just better, and I don't care what anyone says about that. Because they are better, and the drivers are better, too. Oh, yeah, let the hate flow. Bring it! But, honestly, I actually use my 486 probably about 60% of the day. Like, 60% of my time at a computer is actually spent on my 486. And that thing is completely open. Like, I just use FreeDOS. So...
Yeah.
I use that a lot, and what would it take for me to use... Like, the problem is like, the games that I sometimes play on it are not open source, but I could not play those. And there are some open source applications, but, like, a lot of those old applications have no RMS, like, issues, like, because they don't spy or anything. And some of them you can even get the source for, but they're so old, they're all, like, abandonware at this point.
Yeah.
What would it take for me to use that? Like... Honestly, nothing. Like, I would love to just use that thing every day. Like, just connect to an IRC channel and just use that thing. Like, I actually really enjoy it. Now, a more productive machine, like using maybe Haiku or Linux, it wouldn't really, like you, it really wouldn't take much. I would just need an actual open source GPU, or GPU with open source drivers, I should say. And that's pretty much it, because, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do is already open. Like, outside of gaming, everything I do is open. So, like, I don't...
The thing is, if you're going 100% RMS, if you're going full bore freedom, then, like, I wouldn't be able to use this keyboard. I wouldn't be able to use this mixing board. I wouldn't be able to use my GPU because it has binary blobs that are...
Well, you can use the open source drivers without the binary blob. So.
No, I'm talking about, like, the like, my laptop, my keyboard here has microcode on it that's not open source. My GPU and my GPU has microcode on it that is not open source. You know, if you're like my bootloader UEFI is not open source, so it's like if I was going 100% Richard Stallman, it would require a lot of money because I'd have to replace a bunch of hardware in order to be able to do it.
You want my Model M or one of them? There you go.
Does it have USB on the end? Because I don't have any PS2 ports on any of my computers.
I have an adapter. I can give you an adapter.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the Model M has firmware, but it's so archaic and ancient. Like, I'm sure even RMS would be like, yeah, you know what, this is fine. Because like, what's it gonna do? Like, it literally serves to function for the keyboard. Like, it is such an ancient keyboard, and it's nice too, man. You know, it weighs like 6 pounds, something like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's heavy. Well, for a keyboard, I mean, it's not actually heavy at all, but you know what I mean. For a keyboard, it's heavy, and I actually like that. I like keyboards.
My craft
I
keyboard.
also hate membrane keyboards.
My Logitech craft keyboard is probably a good 3 pounds. This thing is pretty heavy for a keyboard.
Well, that's what's nice about like the Model M's. Well, a lot of that old IBM stuff, they have like 4-pound plate of metal in there. Depending on which one, it's like a chunk of cobalt in there. It's just like, sup, dude. But yeah, I think that's for like the Model F or whatever. But anyway, yeah, they just have this big ass metal plate in there, and it's nice because I mean, you know, yeah, like it's just fantastic.
Nice.
So yeah, what would it really take? Honestly, not much if I had the hardware. Like, that's the big thing. Like, if I had the full proper RMS hardware, it really wouldn't take much. Because, like, as far as programming and stuff goes, I just like coding, like, software renders. That's my favorite thing at the moment, and it has been for, like, the past 2 years.
Nice.
So, like, you know, if I can continue to do that, now I wouldn't be able to work, which that would be annoying. So maybe you'd have to, like, pay me for that month so I could... you know, do it. But it's like, other than that, like, if I could find a way to do it financially, like, and, you know, still pay bills and shit, like, yeah, I'd do it. Like, I have no issues with it.
Yeah.
Hell, I don't buy games anymore. Did you know I haven't bought a game on Steam since 2018? January of 2018 was the last time I bought a game on Steam. Yes. Like, my Steam account actually had some features locked out of it because I haven't bought anything in so long.
I bought 2 games recently. I bought the expansions for Cities Skylines, and I bought another game that I can't remember what it was.
I got all those for free off WooBit, so whatever.
What is that?
I'll send it to you later.
All right.
But it's like Keymailer, except you get to pick what you want, and if you qualify for it, you just do it, and then you could pick three games, and then you do like a review, and then it resets your 3.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, WooBit's pretty cool. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to say the last 4 characters, but SPDR says, how are you? Pretty great, actually. Thank you for asking.
I'm decent. I'm having a good day today.
Hell yeah. Joseph Robles Jr. says, hello, let's say that the 2 of you are recruited by NASA to be the first men on Mars and will be living there for the next 5 years after your arrival. NASA allows you to bring 1 laptop. Weight is not the issue. Honestly, probably something with a lot of horsepower because you never know what you might have to do. And definitely want to bring like replaceable batteries and cables. The hardware should hold up fine. But you also want to like another reason why probably a really big laptop, like say like System 6, not the Adder, but the Bonobo, for example, is you don't want it like overheating. So you'd want to bring like thermal paste and stuff, and you want to do maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Because the hardware should last 5 years, but the battery might die and the hardware might die. So like you occasionally want to like open it up and put new thermal paste on it so it doesn't overheat. Because, you know, ain't nobody going to be coming for 5 years, which is pretty likely too, considering it's like a 2-year trip there and back. So it's fairly likely that at a minimum you'll be there for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably go with... I really like the Adder, to be completely honest.
Nice.
The Adder's nice. I might bring like the Serval workstation, or what's the other like workstation laptop they have?
The Bonobo. I don't think they have it anymore. I know they used to have it. I believe the Bonobo was the big version. The Serval's nice. Yeah, they don't have the Bonobo anymore. I think the Adder kind of replaced it, but yeah, the Serval is also nice. There wasn't much of a difference between the Bonobo and the Serval.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I would bring something that came with Linux on it, or I could put Linux on it and not have any issues, because you don't want issues when you're in space.
Yeah, you really don't. I
You
mean, it's
really
like a
don't.
2 year travel time, plus you're going to be there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's like 7 years.
Is it a
I
2 year
mean,
travel time? Couldn't they get it
yes.
down to less than that?
I think they have it estimated at now at like 38 to 40 months. But yeah, at one time it was 48 months,
Wow.
which is way more than 2 years.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe they have it down to 20 months now. I don't know. It's quite a hell of a travel time, but it depends on like the location of Mars, right? So like depending on where Mars is and when you launch, you got to launch at the right time,
Yeah.
and then it depends on the travel time. I think at the longest point it's like 48 months or something like that, which is absolutely insane. Like I'd end up killing you, or you end up killing me. Like
Right.
you just go crazy because like, no human's been trapped inside of a pressurized container for that long. And
Yeah. I
like
mean,
that should be an experiment they should do on Earth first. All this talk about sending people to Mars, screw that. Put people in a container for 2 years and see if they can survive. Like,
I mean,
do
even
that.
even submariners, like, they're like
Go nuts.
they go
Yes.
nuts. They have like 9 months at a time where they don't
Part of that
see
though is
sunlight.
that like you're on a sub and it's like one bathroom to like every 5 to 10 people. So like, and the air quality is pretty poor. Like, there's a lot of issues with being in a submarine because they're very, very cramped.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Wendover Productions?
No, I don't.
No, he does a lot of like stuff about like um, infrastructure, and he talks about like what it costs to actually maintain like airports and like doing stuff like that. But he also talks about like military stuff, like life of a submariner and life aboard an aircraft carrier. It's fascinating, dude. Like those should be, living on a submarine or living on an aircraft carrier. A lot of people that work on an aircraft carrier don't see sunlight for years at a time, or like months at a time at least. It's nuts.
On an aircraft carrier, or you mean a
Yeah,
submarine?
on an aircraft carrier. Like most of the time, people aren't allowed up on the actual deck of the ship because it's such a dangerous place. So a lot of people, unless they're pilots or have something that needs to be done directly on the launch deck, just stay below deck.
Yeah, don't they have? I forget what it's called, but they have like underneath. They have those things that they can like open up the sides. So I guess that's the only chance to really get sunlight.
Yeah.
Is when those things are open.
Right.
Which depending on where you are and what the state of emergency is, those things might not be open.
Yeah.
And even then, they don't have them except for like on the lower floors below the flight deck. So you still might not have an opportunity to go there.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's pretty wild, but still, it'd be better to be stuck on an aircraft carrier than a damn submarine.
Yeah.
Crash Bricks 3. We know you like retro PCs. Well, I do. I don't know about
I
Gregor.
do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, just not DOS PCs.
You know what? You can go screw yourself right here. What is your favorite retro PC? Mine would be the CGI Onyx from Silicon Graphics. That's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah,
CGI Onyx from Silicon Graphics
I
is
like
pretty neat.
I like the way that looks.
Especially considering it has like that early version of OpenGL on it, which is like really hilarious. Mine, honestly, I don't think I really have like an absolute favorite. I kind of like almost all of them for different reasons. If we're talking about look, I really like the Commodore PET. I don't care what anyone says. That thing looks rad, but I don't know. I really like my 486 would probably be my favorite at the moment because it's still somewhat practical and usable.
Okay.
But other than that, that's pretty much it. What about you?
I have the IBM Aptiva. I don't remember the model number, but it's a nice little machine. I also like. It has like an AMD K7 processor in it. It's like 400 or 500 megahertz. It's pretty cool. And then, in terms of like, hold on, I'm gonna look this up now. Where are you? This is like the first computer that we ever owned as in my family. It's not that one. It's close to that one. Where the heck is it? Come on. This is only going to be useful to the people actually watching the video version on YouTube. Ah, here it is, right here. Yeah, the 4450, the HP Pavilion 4450. That is like a computer that I have a lot of nostalgia for. I'll send this to you, Raven.
Good, because I didn't know what you were talking about. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I know, right? It's that's the
I had a
first
machine
computer.
similar to that. It had a newer Celeron. I gave it to my brother when he was like 14 or 13, something like that. And it had like, I think I put like 128 megabytes of RAM in it, and it had like an 11 megabyte built-in graphics card.
Yeah.
Some
Sounds
kind.
about right.
And it was a little beefier than that one because it was probably like a year or two newer, but it really wasn't that impressive. Still blows my mind to this day that it supported 11 megabytes of RAM. Not
Yeah.
12, 11. like what the hell, HP? But that was back when integrated graphics cards were a little
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. This machine was the first machine I realized. So, well, this was the first machine that my dad ever bought the family, right? Like
Nice.
we had a it was a Windows 3.1 version. It had Windows 3.1 on it, and he got it from his friend, and he kept it at my aunt's house because he didn't want the kids to use it. So, and then eventually he brought that to the house, and I played Roger Wilco, Space Quest 6 on it. That was
Space
super
Quest is
fun.
great.
Yeah, but this
Dude,
was,
DOS had some great games, man. Like seriously, some amazing games
yeah,
that we'll never see ever again because we just won't.
yeah.
No one will ever make great games like that probably for a while. Like, you ever played Police Quest?
I did, but Police Quest wasn't my jam. I liked.
Well, newer
Space Quest.
versions of Police Quest, or like especially like Police Quest 3, is pretty rad.
Yeah, this.
That's about when it kind of goes downhill from there, because like later ones are kind of like, yeah, and
Yeah.
Police Quest SWAT is just, what the hell were they thinking?
Yeah. This
Ugh.
this machine though, I have such nostalgia for because it was the first machine I ever installed Winamp on. It's the first machine I ever used Napster on. I loved this thing. Oh, and
I remember Winamp.
yeah,
I remember that.
Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. And the best part about this was the first machine that my dad had Cool Edit Pro on. My dad was a DJ, a radio DJ, and so he brought home Cool Edit Pro, which was audio editing software. And the monitor that came with this had a built-in microphone that was half decent quality. So me and my friends would record podcasts before we even knew what podcasts were, and I would edit them in Cool Edit Pro. So
Nice.
I have a lot of nostalgia for this specific machine. Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, it was. Cookie Eater asks, how long do you think for Wine to be stable? I mean, Windows native like compatibility, stability, and performance. I mean, it's kind of already there
Yeah.
for the most part. The biggest crux is probably still .NET applications. But I mean, like, I don't really know. I mean, you can pretty much run everything from like the most common stuff. It's usually like older and obscure stuff that's broken. Like, for some reason, DirectX 8 is really broken in Wine. So, like, The Sims doesn't work very well. Neither does, like, certain other DirectX 8 games. Some will work, like Morrowind, but, like, others won't. So, it's very weird.
Mm.
It's, yeah. I mean, will they eventually get around to fixing it? Yeah, probably. But considering Codeweavers and the whole Wine team is, like, very focused, thanks to Valve's Proton, it'll be a while. But it is, like, rapidly advancing, so there's that.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I think like the biggest hurdle that they face is like the undocumented features of Windows, or
Yep.
or like the there's like the weird use cases, like the edge cases for some of the shared libraries in Windows. Like,
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem with like DirectX 8, 7, and all that, and why some of them just don't work well is because they're like weird, especially when you get older. Because like early versions of DirectX were like a wrapper around OpenGL, and then they made their own thing, and
yeah. But even like games like The Sims, like the original Sims, like which was like you could not play the original Sims in Wine, and yet we
you could if you go back to a far enough old version
of Wine.
Yeah, like really old versions from like 2006, 2007 can actually play The Sims.
Really?
Yeah, but how old are those versions? Like, good luck getting that shit to compile.
Yeah.
That's why you have to use like Lutris and people who have like those wrappers for it that, convert it.
Yeah, well,
that's different.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like you can now do that, thanks to the hard work of the community and like the growing support of, what is that project called? It's like DXVK, but it's for old versions.
Really old versions. I don't remember what that project is called, but yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, it used to work. Actually, apparently, newer versions of Wine staging actually fix it. It actually works now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but like you can go to like really old versions, and we're talking like really old versions, like near like 1.0 and stuff, maybe even older. Sims actually did work on there. I'm not saying it worked very well, because it didn't.
Yeah.
But it would at least start.
Yeah.
Wine 4.6 staging shows it working out of the box now. So see, maybe they finally got around to fixing it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the power of open source. It's like if you're patient enough, everything's just going to continue getting better. And something that you have found a challenge before is going to just simply work one day. And I love that.
And part of the problem is one, the DRM for The Sims, and the other part of the problem is the fact that it's like a DirectX 8 software renderer. It just doesn't help at all. Like the Sims rendering engine is by far one of the weirdest quirks that Maxis has probably ever made.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like the original Sims here, like not, like the Sims 2 or anything, but like the original Sims. It is just such a quirk.
Yeah.
But it does work. It works beautifully too.
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's kind of my opinion on it. It's kind of there depending on what you want to do. As far as being like 100%, I don't think it'll ever actually achieve that because Windows is also evolving at the same time. So it'll always be playing catch up.
Yeah. I have one question from Mastodon here.
Okay.
Heinrich asks, should pineapple on pizza be considered a hate crime?
Nope. I actually like pineapple on pizza.
I love pineapple on pizza. So
not all the time though. It's the sweetness of the pineapple with like the bacon and ham, dude, that really like just gives it that nice kick. Oh yeah, I also put bacon on it.
Yeah.
I know it has ham on it, but bacon has to be on a pizza. You don't put bacon on pizza, you're just a heathen.
I completely agree. I absolutely love it. Bacon on pizza. Well, my friend, we've been recording for quite a while now, actually.
Yeah, we have.
You thought this was going to be a
episode
short
was going to be short. Yeah, I know, right? We got burned again by that.
Yeah. I'm very happy that we have the show on YouTube now, by the way. If you haven't subscribed, go over there to youtube.com and then look up the Linux, not the Linux Gamer, the Off Topical Podcast. That's what I'm trying to say. It's cool. It's exciting. It's, the subscriber base has been growing over there. So yeah, but I think that's going to do it for this episode. Raven, thank you for being here, my friend.
My pleasure.
I'm happy that I actually woke up early enough to get the show done today.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. It's good that you got up early.
Maybe we'll do this every week.
Yeah, I'm not really that busy Friday mornings, but Friday evenings is like, God, it's such a hit or miss.
Yeah. But this has been the Off Topical Podcast. My name is Gardner, and let's do this again soon.